evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Monday, June 26, 2023. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. Guyana records US $5.7 billion in intra-regional imports last year. Exports stand at US $2.7 billion. 3 killed in separate road accidents caused by speeding. With over 66,000 persons living with diabetes in Guyana, government upping patient care. Health Ministry working on long-term drug rehab services. And UG Library receives prestigious ALBERTINA PEREZ de ROSA Award. Now for the news in detail. As the Caribbean pushes to achieve food security and reduce the region's food import bill, it has been revealed that there is a US $3 billion difference in what Guyana imports from the region versus what it exports. Here is Giles Bryan with our lead story tonight.
The Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GCCI, on Monday facilitated the event at the Marriott Hotel, which brought together businesses, CARICOM officials, and the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ. It also featured an address by CCJ President Justice Adrian Saunders, who provided trade figures between Guyana and CARICOM, courtesy of the Geneva-based International Trade Center.
In 2022, Guyana's imports of goods from the entire CARICOM region amounted to roughly $5.7 billion US. The exports to CARICOM, the 2022 figure was just $2.7 billion US.
Meanwhile, Saunders was optimistic that trading will multiply as Guyana's economic growth, buoyed by the oil and gas sector, continues.
Guyana naturally engages in a healthy trade in goods and services with its CARICOM neighbors. And this trade will only grow and multiply as this country's economy catapults forward.
During the session, phytosanitary restrictions and the importance of easing them was also discussed. The matter of restrictions on trade has been addressed frontally by the current government and has even been brought up at the level of the CARICOM heads of government. In Guyana, a national working group on barriers to trade against exports from Guyana was formed back in 2020. Giles Bryan, The Evening News.
A pedestrian who was attempting to cross the road at Lagrange, West Bank, Demerara was this morning struck down and killed by a motorcar that was speeding and in the process of overtaking another vehicle. Dead is 52-year-old Vidya Tai of Samaru Scheme, Lagrange, West Bank, Demerara. Police said the crash occurred at around 5:50 hours today when a hire car, HD 3435, was proceeding along the road at a fast rate when the driver, a 35-year-old resident of Shopping Plaza, South Rheinfeldt, Georgetown, was in the process of overtaking a motorcar in front of him. The driver alleged that whilst overtaking, the pedestrian suddenly ran across the road and into the path of his vehicle, causing a collision. As a result of the collision, the pedestrian was flung onto the bonnet and windscreen of the hire car, then fell onto the road surface and sustained injuries about her body. She was picked up in an unconscious state by the police and the driver and escorted to the West Demerara Regional Hospital, where she was pronounced dead on arrival. The driver was arrested and a breathalyzer test was conducted on him, but no trace of alcohol was detected. Investigations are in progress. We now tell you that a 19-year-old lost his life on Sunday morning when the motorcar he was driving collided into a car wash on the Essequibo Coast public road before striking a utility pole and being engulfed in flames. Dead is Mario Adams of Lot 45 Lima Sands, Essequibo Coast. At the time of the crash, 3 other persons were also in the vehicle. They were 32-year-old Troy Ross of La Belle Alliance, 21-year-old Dean Cortman of Lima Sands, and an unidentified male who fled the scene. Reports are that the accident occurred at about 1:15 hours on the Bushlot Public Road, Essequibo Coast, leaving behind a scene of devastation and a burnt-out vehicle. According to police reports, Adams was driving motorcar PAD 5291 at a fast rate, and while negotiating a bend in the road, he lost control of the vehicle and crashed into a nearby car wash. Subsequently, the vehicle collided head-on with a utility pole, causing the car to burst into flames. The driver and occupants were transported to the Suddy Public Hospital for medical attention. Adams was pronounced dead while the 2 surviving occupants received injuries. Troy Ross sustained lacerations to his body, while Cortman suffered head trauma and lacerations. Andrew Carmichael joins us now to report that a construction worker was on Saturday night struck down and killed by a speeding motor car on the east bank of Demerara roadway. The family of the victim, who hails from Berbice, is calling for justice, saying that the man was heading home from a hard day's work when he was killed. Here is the story.
Dead is 33-year-old Joshua Madanlal, also called Bangi, a construction worker of 2nd Street, No. 2 Village, East Kanji, Region 6, East Berbice Quarantine. The fatal accident occurred at about 20 hours 40 on Saturday along the Little Diamond New Access Road, also known as Mokota Diamond New Road. According to a police report, a hire car, HB 6038, was traveling south along the eastern driving lane of the new Diamond Access Road at a fast rate. However, while in the vicinity of Prospect New Housing Scheme, the left front portion of the vehicle collided with Madanal, who was walking at the edge of the road. The impact caused the pedestrian to be thrown into the southeastern direction, resulting in his head hitting the right rear side of another motor car, PRR 440, which was parked on the eastern parapet of the road. Madanal was pronounced dead at the scene.
The video them, we seen he brains pitch out, some here. All here smashing. And his hand here, like you see in this part, you see bones and so on, and feel like it peel off.
That was the now dead man's wife, Ann Garcia. She said her husband was on his way home from work when he was hit by the speeding car. Madanlal had been working at location at Diamond for close to 2 months and went home fortnightly.
When I heard from him was Friday morning around 9:30 time, and he tell me that he gonna work late, so maybe he gonna come down, he gonna travel and come down late that night, Friday night, and then he tell me he gonna buy something for his daughter, and he asked me if I go want chicken, and I said no, and he asked me if I can make some noodles with him. And he speak with his daughter while he talking to she, and he laughing like he happy or something.
Meanwhile, police say following the crash, the driver of the speeding car was apprehended by villagers at 7th Avenue in Diamond.
Some people in Diamond catch him.
Trying to get away?
Yes, he was trying to get away.
According to the police, a breathalyzer test revealed alcohol levels of 94 micrograms and 93 micrograms in his system, exceeding the prescribed limit of 35 micrograms. Family members are calling for justice, noting that Madanlal had not been drinking but rather working prior to the accident. He had been the breadwinner for his family, including his 3-year-old daughter, who was expected to begin her schooling in September. Meanwhile, the police say that the driver has been served with a notice of intended prosecution. He is expected to make a court appearance sometime this week. Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
Reeling from a resounding success at the recently conducted local government elections, the People's Progressive Party Civic is showing appreciation to supporters across the country and is simultaneously rallying Guyanese to throw their support behind the incumbent party as they head into the next general and regional elections in 2 years' time. Tasia Dickinson reports.
Speaking at the local government elections thank you meeting on Saturday at Lenora, President Dr. Irfan Ali expressed appreciation to residents of Region 3 for their tremendous support at the recent local government polls. The party has held various thank you meetings across the country. According to President Ali, this victory reflects the party's unifying policy that seeks to develop and bring prosperity to Guyana and the advancement of every single family in the country. The head of state told supporters that it is not time to slow down or stop. Instead, he called on them to start suiting up in preparation for the next general and regional elections in 2025.
Our message and the foundation of the People's Progressive Party is about all of us unified as Guyanese, working together, working harder every day to ensure development and prosperity come to every single home. And we thank you very much for your courage and your determination in breaking traditions that sought to divide us. There is only one common future for us, and that common future is a future in which we are all united in one cause, and that is the cause of Guyana. the development of Guyana, the prosperity of Guyana, the advancement of every single family in this country. The People's Progressive Party civic family must be expanded and must be expanded in every single community in this country. No more are we going to allow the lies and the propaganda of the opposition to ever gain root in communities. We're going to walk every single community and talk to the people directly, because when we send our message to the people directly, they'll realize that this is a party that cares about them. This is a party that cares about love. This is a party that cares about unity.
To this end, the President pointed out that notwithstanding the strong work already being done on the ground and the resounding victory at the recent LGE, leaders of the PPPC has already been instructed to work even harder to garner votes on the ground. Similar sentiments were shared by General Secretary of the PPP, Dr. Bara Jagdeo, who reflected on the massive victory of the party across the country.
We recognize the hard work done by our activists, our supporters, our candidates in every part of this country. And here in this region, I want to say a special thank you to those who come from communities that traditionally did not support the PPP, Del Amstel and the other areas. Welcome to the PPP family. The PPP family is big enough to accommodate everyone, all of Guyana, and we will move from this victory on to an even bigger victory in 2025. But for that to happen, every one of you here tonight would have to play a role, not just a passive role, not just to come to meetings and vote. You have to become activists of this party. You have to talk about what we stand for, the positive things. Every time we campaign on improving people's lives.
The ruling party won 67 of the 80 local authority areas that were contested at the June 12 local government polls, more than doubling its votes in several of the traditional PNC-led a Partnership for National Unity opposition-controlled constituencies. Tassia Dickinson, The Evening News.
Coming up, adjustable royalty rate among APNU's input on draft oil bill, and with over 66,000 persons living with diabetes in Guyana, government upping patient care. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
Look out! The Oreos belong to us.
No, they belong to whoever finds them first.
Get your Oreo Transformers Limited Edition and awaken the beast.
Turbo Energy Drink rolling out the Turbo Hot Summer Wheels promotion. Win a brand new 2023 Honda HR-V. Plus over $3 million in weekly cash and prizes. Just grab any bottle of Turbo Energy Drink, Buster or Classic, and locate the 8-digit code on the bottle. Then visit Turbo IG and Facebook at Turbo_Caribbean. For more details, conditions apply.
Sally's Boutique is the place to shop when looking for quality high-end men and women footwear, wristwear, wallets, and clothing. Follow us on Instagram, Sally's Boutique GY. We're located at Charlotte Street between Camp and Wellington Streets. Contact us on 231-7519. That's 231-7519. WhatsApp 613-9578. That's 613-9578. Sally's Boutique, the new home of Clarks.
Isuzu D-Max, built to work. Whether it's mining, construction, agriculture, or just adventure, Isuzu D-Max does the job. Put it to the test. Isuzu D-Max, engineered to keep every promise. Marex is the authorized dealer for all Isuzu products. Marex, telephone 226-14821, 226-1306.
Play virtual blackjack for an exclusive gaming experience. Do you have what it takes to beat the dealer? Visit www.superbet.gy and check out all the different bet types. Must be 18 years and older. Terms and conditions apply. Play responsibly. Superbet, your best bet.
Welcome back. You're watching the evening news. Almost 1 week has passed since government released for feedback a draft petroleum activities bill, and so far, the parliamentary opposition, a Partnership for National Unity, has made several recommendations. Jarl Bryan reports.
In a statement issued on Monday, the Partnership for National Unity, APNU, revealed some of its recommendations for the draft petroleum activities bill, which was released by the government last week. While the opposition said it would contribute more substantially to the bill when it reaches the National Assembly, they did share with the public several of their concerns. The Aubrey Norton-led party urged that the bill address issues related to oil block auctions and insurance and liability coverage in light of recent court cases. The opposition acknowledged that the bill addresses oil companies deferring their royalty payments to the state. While they had no objection to this in times of financial difficulties, the opposition called for reciprocity. They recommended a price-based, preset sliding royalty rate be put in the bill so that Guyana can be paid more royalty in times of high oil prices. Another recommendation was for mandated feasibility studies for any government-led undertaking connected to the oil and gas sector. It was also recommended that the bill mandate the timely completion and release of cost oil audit reports. Meanwhile, this newscast interviewed Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry President Kester Hudson on Monday. He revealed that the GCCI is itself preparing to submit recommendations for the bill.
We have a petroleum committee. The Chamber has a petroleum committee which allows for much engagement from members who operate directly in that sector. And so we're actually working on that submission, the discussion and submission by tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, right? But certainly, I know for the petroleum bill for sure.
Last week, the Petroleum Activities Bill was released for public feedback. Accordingly, public feedback will close on July the 3rd, 2023. Jarl Bryan, The Evening News.
With over 66,000 persons estimated to be living with diabetes in Guyana, the government is embarking on a series of initiatives aimed at improving the level of care being offered to patients. Tasia Dickinson has the details.
The International Diabetic Federation would have estimated that in Guyana there are approximately 66,000 persons who are diabetics. So that's quite a lot of people. Now, we decided that we want, for those persons who are diabetic, we want to offer them better care. So one of the projects that we are right now working on is to improve care for diabetics. So once you've been diagnosed with diabetes, we want to make sure that we can help you to control your blood sugar and bring it down to normal levels. And to do that, we have been across the system, the public healthcare system, we have changed the medication that we are offering at each of our clinics.
Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony speaking during a recent broadcast program, the Guyana Dialogue, where he provided an insight on the status of diabetes in Guyana. Only last year, he revealed that the estimate was 60,000 persons, many of whom he said were unaware of their status. Of that figure, he disclosed that there are about 150 persons suffering specifically from type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes, known as insulin-dependent diabetes, is a chronic condition in which the pancreas makes little or no insulin. Insulin is a hormone the body uses to allow sugar or glucose to enter cells to produce energy. In light of these figures, the health minister noted that the government is continuously investing to ensure the healthcare sector can properly diagnose and treat this disease.
We are following a protocol that has been developed by the Pan American Health Organization. It's called HEARTS-D, and D meaning diabetes. And so that's the protocol that we've been using. And we're using medication that has been more effective in treating patients. In addition to that, over the last 2 months or so, we've been working with a team from Mount Sinai to develop new diabetes guidelines. And you would see us launch those guidelines in July. Having completed the launch of the guidelines, we'll be training primary healthcare doctors in the use of the guidelines. So that would also happen in July. And then we'll be rolling out a very comprehensive program to get people on this type of treatment.
The minister added that the ministry is steering away from traditional ways of diabetic testing. He noted that the HbA1c is a more reliable marker, and the ministry is looking to have it introduced at a clinic level across the country.
One of the challenges that we have is that we still use glucometers, and we have been using the traditional methods to check whether or not somebody is diabetic. But we feel that the HbA1c is a more reliable marker. And so one of the things with these new guidelines is that we'll be benchmarking using HbA1c. And we have bought a number of these machines that we'll be putting in primary healthcare settings. Our objective is to make sure that every health center would have one of these. So when patients come in, we can do their HbA1c at the clinic level. And so get a better understanding of what is happening with the patient. HbA1c would give you an estimate of what the blood levels, the sugar levels in your blood would have been over the last 3 months, versus when you come in and you check with one of these strips, that is just telling you what is going on with you at that moment. So the HbA1c is much more reliable, and that's why we're going to shift to using that.
Reports indicate that Guyana has over 400 health facilities, each of which is equipped to make diagnoses and handle diabetic cases. Tasia Dickinson, The Evening News.
Rupasina Ryan joins us now to report that the Health Ministry will be focusing on long-term rehabilitation services to cater for drug abuse in Guyana, which has impacted the lives of persons both on the health and psychosocial levels. More in this report.
The Health Ministry on Monday joined the observance of International Day Against Illicit Trafficking and Drug Abuse, celebrated under the theme People First, Stop Stigma and Discrimination, Strength and Prevention. During the event, Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony outlined that if rehabilitation services are offered at all primary healthcare facilities, it would make significant difference in coverage. Over the next 2 years, the ministry will be looking at long-term services for illegal substance users.
One of the areas that we have identified that we need to do a lot more work on is really in terms of treating persons who have addiction. And so I'm hoping that this can be expanded. It must also be integrated into our primary healthcare services as part of the services that we provide to people. One of the things that we have been talking about in the ministry is to set up a more long-term rehabilitation program. And if it requires people to be institutionalized temporarily, then that is what we have to do. And so over the next year or two, we'll be working to set up such a program.
PAHO WHO representative Dr. Louis Codina recognized that there is a higher usage of drugs among youths than any other generation. As such, he called for proper policy direction.
Say no to the drugs. It was a movement 20 years ago, more or less, in terms to work in the large majority of our countries. The advocacy, say no to drugs, etc. And on the other hand, we have the legalization, for example, of marijuana and other products. So how to find a balance between these two positions. I think it's very important to discuss this because it's the key of the policy for the countries.
Magistrate Rondell Weaver underscored that discrimination and the stigma attached to rehabilitated drug users is still a challenge.
No one is ever too broken, too scarred, or too far gone to create change. Therefore, this court will never lose hope and will continue to put its participants first in ensuring that we create the change that we desire to see in the lives of our participants.
Recognizing the need for integration services, Guyana's first drug treatment court was opened in 2017. The juvenile drug treatment courts were then introduced in 2022. Rupa Sinarain, The Evening News.
The neurosurgery team at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation recently removed a very rare medical phenomenon of human tail on a 10-day-old infant. The unique presentation of pathologies such as the human tail is not only rare in Guyana but the world. According to a statement from the hospital on Sunday, this successful surgery was conducted on June 18, 2023 at the public hospital. The 10-day-old baby boy was born with a tail, which is basically a continuation of the spine or spinal nerve elements. The GPHC medical team was led by Chief Neurosurgeon Dr. Amarnath Duki, who performed the procedure to remove the tail and reconstruct the spinal canal. Based on current records, there are less than 60 cases documented in the medical literature of caudal appendage or the human tail. As such, the GPHC said as a tertiary medical institution with a commitment to medical education and research, its neurosurgery department will be presenting this case to the global medical community for documentation and review. Meanwhile, the University of Guyana Library was the recipient of the highly prestigious ALBERTINA PEREZ de ROSA Award at the just concluded Association of Caribbean University Research and Institutional Libraries Conference, held from June 5 to 9, 2023 in Kingston, Jamaica. The award was presented by the ACURIL Puerto Rico chapter in recognition of the excellent collaborative work between the libraries of the University of Guyana's Turkine and Berbice campuses for piloting, implementing, and documenting the success story of the COHA open source library management system, which was used to automate the services and resources of the two libraries. The three researchers who documented the COHA ILS implementation at the University of Guyana were Gwenna George, Dr. Simone Bernard, and Somati Seringe. The Dr. Albertina Perez de Rosa Award recognizes and honors the excellent performance of collaboration in information institutions, communities of practice, or the unique efforts of local and regional information units. This recognition serves to record the quality of the efforts evidenced through the implementation of successful projects for the benefit of its clients in the Caribbean. And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbor Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Tuesday, June 27th at 11 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Tuesday, June 27th at 10:25 hours for a period of 1.5 hours.
Netherlands tops West Indies in Super Over Thriller and Elite League. GDF Perfect Mile Rock bag first point. Details of these stories in the Sportcast, sponsored by MacCorp, coming up on the other side of the break.
Turbo Energy Drink rolling out the Turbo Hot Summer Wheels promotion. Win a brand new 2023 Honda HR-V. Plus over $3 million in weekly cash and prizes. Just grab any bottle of Turbo Energy Drink, Buster or Classic, and locate the 8-digit code on the bottle. Then visit Turbo IG and Facebook at Turbo_Caribbean. For more details, conditions apply.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality? Or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Sadco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store. Located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rhymeville.
Come visit us on Waterloo Street. John Lewis Styles.
Look out! The Oreos belong to us.
No, they belong to whoever finds them first.
Get your Oreo Transformers Limited Edition and awaken the beast.
Wash Bay operators, are you looking for that unique service to elevate your business? Well, come on down to your #1 industrial store, Sylvie's, and invest in an undercarriage pressure washer tool. That's right, impress your customers by now washing under their vehicles easy and efficiently with an undercarriage tool. We have in stock different types that offer a wider range of services and can increase your revenue without having to invest in expensive ramps. Your customers are going to leave satisfied. So what are you waiting for? If you can't make it to our 31 High and Hatfield Streets location, we can deliver in and around Georgetown. Give us a call on 227-6226 or WhatsApp us on 623-7755 or visit our website sylviesonline.com. Sylvie's Industrial Solution, proudly